The research station sat on the edge of a silent forest, a place most humans avoided after sunset. The tall, twisting trees hid strange lights, soft growls, and shadows that moved in ways no human could explain. But the station workers weren't afraid of the forest itself. They feared one creature living inside it, the feral Vulpine woman. No one knew where she came from. Some said she escaped a crashed vessel. Others claimed she was born in the wild and had never known civilization. All they knew was this: she was fast, unpredictable, and stronger than any human. The guards who tried to capture her refused to go near the forest again. They said her golden eyes could see through their souls. And yet, one human walked toward that forest every evening. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a scientist. He wasn't even trained for dangerous missions. He was just a maintenance worker who repaired power lines, cleaned sensor grids, and helped keep the station running. But he had seen her once when she was hurt. He never forgot the moment. That night replayed in his mind as he walked toward the forest edge again, carrying a small thermal pack of food. The wind was cold, and the air carried a quiet tension, like the forest itself was watching him. The trees seemed to lean closer, as if trying to warn him or test him. He stepped onto the grass and whispered softly, "I know you're there." At first, there was nothing, then a faint rustle behind the trees. Not a threat, just awareness. He waited quietly. The forest moved around him in slow breaths. Leaves swayed, though the wind was still. A dim blue glow shimmered between branches, then faded. He didn't run. He didn't call for guards. He simply opened the thermal pack and placed it on a flat rock. "You don't have to come out," he whispered. "Just eat when you want. No one else will bother you." He stepped back several paces, keeping the rock in sight but giving space. He had learned something important over the past weeks. She only appeared when she didn't feel watched. But today was different. A soft growl drifted down from a nearby branch. He didn't turn suddenly. He moved slowly, raising his eyes only when he felt her presence. There she was, balanced on a branch like a shadow with form, her body sleek and agile, her fur-lined skin glowing faintly under the moonlight. Her long tail curled behind her, twitching with cautious curiosity. Her hair poured over her shoulders like dark fire, and her sharp golden eyes locked onto him. She looked wild, dangerous, and beautiful in a way that didn't feel human at all. He didn't move. He didn't speak. She studied him the way a predator studies something unusual, something that didn't behave the way prey should. Her nose lifted slightly as she sniffed the air between them. Her ears tilted forward, listening to every breath he took. Then, slowly, she bent her legs and dropped lightly to the ground without a sound. He felt his heart race, but he kept his hands relaxed at his sides. "It's just food," he said quietly. "You don't owe me anything." Her eyes narrowed. She stepped closer, the movement so smooth it barely disturbed the grass. She was close enough now for him to see faint markings on her face, like natural patterns formed from her lineage. She circled him once, not touching, but close enough for him to feel her presence like warm air. She wasn't threatening him. She was testing him. Then she stopped in front of him and tilted her head. Her voice, when it came, was low and rough, like she hadn't spoken in years. "Why bring this?" He met her eyes gently. "Because you were hurt. You needed help." She blinked slowly, almost confused. "Others run. I didn't want to run," he said. Her tail flicked behind her, a movement he had learned meant she was thinking deeply. She glanced at the food on the rock, then back at him, then moved closer until there were only inches between them. "You are not afraid?" she asked. He smiled softly, though his heart pounded. "You would have hurt me already if you wanted to." Her nostrils flared slightly. "You trust," he nodded. A strange calm washed over her expression. She stepped back just one pace, her claws brushing the earth lightly. "You are strange," she murmured. "Human. Strange." He chuckled quietly. "I'll take that as a compliment." Her ears twitched. A quiet sound almost like a breath of amusement escaped her lips. She walked past him, slow and careful, toward the rock. She picked up the thermal pack, sniffed it, then carried it to the base of a large tree and sat gracefully. But she didn't eat yet. She kept watching him. "You come every night," she said. "Why?" He hesitated, choosing his words with care. "Because I don't think you're what they say you are. They call you dangerous, unpredictable, wild, but I think you're just alone." Her golden eyes softened, the first sign of emotion he had ever seen from her. She lowered her gaze for a moment, then lifted it again with new intention. "You speak truth," she said. "I am alone." He stepped a little closer. "You don't have to be." She studied him for a long, silent moment. Then she reached out her hand, not threatening, not demanding, just curious. He didn't rush forward. He simply lifted his hand slowly until their fingertips met. Her breath hitched. A connection sparked, not physical, but something deeper, something she didn't seem to understand. "You choose me," she whispered. His voice softened. "Only if you choose me too." Her tail curled with emotion. She leaned closer, her forehead nearly touching his chest. He stayed still, letting her decide what this moment meant. Then she whispered something he never expected to hear. "I choose." The wind shifted. The forest grew quiet. The moment changed everything. But neither of them knew that forces outside the forest were already watching. And someone would soon come looking for the human who dared to approach the wild Vulpine woman. The next day, the station felt different to him. People moved through the halls with nervous energy. Conversations were shorter, glances sharper. The human noticed two security officers standing near the main exit, checking every worker who left the building. That had never happened before. He tried to walk past them with his usual calm, carrying his tool bag like on any normal day. One of the officers stopped him with a raised hand. "Where are you going?" the officer asked. "Forest side grid," he replied. "Power relay inspection." "It's in the schedule." The officer checked his tablet, nodded slowly, then looked up again. "Stay close to the perimeter. No wandering off into the trees." He forced a small, easy smile. "I'm just here to fix wires." The officer's reply was flat. "We're tracking unusual movement in the woods. Command thinks the Vulpine creature is getting bolder. Don't try to be a hero out there." He nodded and walked on, keeping his face calm until he was out of sight. Inside, his chest felt tight. They were watching the forest. They were watching for her. When he stepped outside, the wind carried the scent of pine, metal, and faint ozone. The forest waited at the edge of the clearing, tall and shadowed. His heart beat faster, not from fear of the trees, but from worry about who else might be watching. He moved along the perimeter, pretending to study cables and poles, but his eyes kept drifting to the line where grass met roots and darkness. Somewhere beyond that line, she moved with silent grace, wild and alone. He hoped she was safe. By late afternoon, his work took him to the far corner of the field, where the station cameras didn't reach clearly. Here, the hum of machinery was softer, and the forest shadows seemed deeper. He paused near a familiar tree, then spoke softly without turning his head. "I know you're there." For a moment, nothing happened. Then a voice, low and steady, came from the branches above him. "You came again." He looked up with a small smile. She crouched on a thick branch, golden eyes sharp, tail wrapped around her for balance. In the daylight, he could see her more clearly. Her fur patterns along her arms and neck caught the light in faint gold and silver lines. The wildness in her gaze was still there, but now there was something else to recognition. "Of course I came," he said. "I told you. I choose you." She dropped down easily, landing on the grass with barely a sound. "Many humans say words," she replied. "Few stay. I'm not like most," he said, half joking, half serious. She circled him again, slower this time, as if memorizing his scent, his stance, his presence. "You smell the same as last night," she said. "Like metal, dust, and calm." Is calm a smell? He asked, amused. To me, yes, she answered. She stepped close enough that he could see the faint scars on her hands, the small marks on her neck where claws or restraints might have once dug in. He realized she had lived a life he couldn't imagine, captured, hunted, or left for dead. No wonder she trusted no one. No one else comes near, she said. Your people send soldiers, drones, traps. They do not come like you. They're afraid of you, he said softly. They don't know you. Her ears folded slightly back, just a little. Do you know me? He met her eyes. Not yet. But I want to. Her throat moved as she swallowed, emotions she wasn't used to feeling pressing close. Instead of answering directly, she changed the subject. Your guards, she said. More of them watch the forest today. They speak with weapons in their hands. I noticed, he said. They think you're getting too close. Am I? She asked. He smiled gently. I don't mind. Her tail swayed slowly behind her. Your people will not see it that way. A soft, uneasy silence settled between them. The wind brushed the grass. A bird called once, then went quiet. You could leave, she said. Stay inside their walls. Forget the forest. Forget me. He shook his head. I don't want to forget you. Why? She whispered. I am wild, broken. I do not belong in your shiny halls. Maybe not, he replied. But that doesn't mean you don't belong anywhere. You're more than what they're afraid of. Her eyes softened. She lifted a hand, hesitated, then rested her claws lightly against his sleeve. She seemed surprised at herself, as if this simple touch was something new and dangerous. You choose me, she repeated quietly. Then I choose you too. Warmth spread through his chest. He covered her hand with his own, careful not to startle her. For a moment, the forest and station and all their problems disappeared. It was just the two of them, sharing a strange, fragile peace. The peace didn't last. The crack of a distant branch snapped through the air, sharp and unnatural. Her ears shot up. She yanked her hand back and spun toward the sound, body tense. He froze. What is it? Metal feet, she hissed. Machines coming. He listened, and after a moment he heard it too, the heavy, rhythmic steps of something big and artificial. A patrol mech, maybe more than one. Guards, he whispered. She backed into the shadows, fur bristling. They hunt. I must go deeper. He turned quickly. Wait if they find your tracks. They already have, she said. They smell the air with their cold noses. Panic fluttered in his chest. If a patrol found signs of her near him, they would ask questions. They might set a trap. They might decide to attack without warning. Come with me, he said suddenly. She stared at him. Into your metal den? Into the maintenance tunnels, he said quickly. They're below the station. Old routes, half forgotten. I use them for repairs. The guards rarely check them. Suspicion flickered across her face. Humans trap in boxes. You bring me inside, close the door. They keep me there. He shook his head. I won't let that happen. Your strength is small, she said quietly. Your rank is nothing. Your people do not listen. You're right, he admitted. I'm not important. But I still won't let them hurt you. She studied him for a long moment, the golden in her eyes brightening. The machine's footsteps grew louder. The ground vibrated slightly with each heavy step. Time was running out. Finally, she made her choice. You run first, she said. I follow in the trees. Show me the entrance. If I smell a lie, I vanish. Deal, he said. He turned and walked quickly along the perimeter, making his movements look natural, like a worker just finishing a check. Above him, he could feel her presence in the branches, moving silently from tree to tree, shadowing his path. The sound of the patrol mechs grew clearer metal joints, hydraulic sighs, the low hum of scanning beams sweeping the ground. He kept his head down and his pace steady. If he looked nervous, they might stop him. Near the far side of the station wall, half covered by climbing vines and a stack of spare metal panels, was an old hatch. Most people didn't even know it existed. He had found it months ago while checking structural bolts. He reached it, glanced around once, then knelt as if adjusting his tool bag. Under the cover of his movements, he pressed his hand against a small sensor plate. The hatch released with a soft click. He opened it just a few centimeters, enough for a narrow gap. From above, a soft weight landed behind him. He didn't turn, but he felt her close. "Down there," he whispered. Quickly, she leaned forward, sniffed the dark tunnel, then him, then the air around them. Heavy metal steps were getting closer. One wrong move and the patrol would see them together. At last she slipped down into the hatch, body folding like liquid shadow. He followed right after, pulling the hatch closed above them. Darkness covered them for a moment, broken only by a faint strip of emergency light along the floor. The tunnel smelled of dust, metal, and old air. She turned to him, golden eyes glowing in the dim light. "You hide me in your world now," she said softly. He nodded, breathing hard from the rush. "For as long as you need." Above them, the patrol mechs marched past, searching a forest that no longer held the wild Vulpine woman they were looking for. And deep beneath the station, for the first time in her life, she was inside human walls by choice, not as a prisoner, but as someone who had chosen one human to trust. The maintenance tunnel stretched into dimness, lit only by the thin emergency strip along the floor. The human moved slowly, letting his eyes adjust. The Vulpine woman followed with silent steps, her golden eyes bright in the low light, reflecting every movement around them. She walked close, but not too close, just enough to catch every sound he made, but far enough to escape if anything felt wrong. Trust did not come quickly to someone who had survived alone for years. At the first turn in the tunnel, she stopped suddenly. He paused too. "What's wrong?" Her ears angled sharply upward. "I hear your metal guards. They wait above." He listened but heard nothing. It reminded him again that her senses were far beyond human limits. "They won't find the hatch," he whispered. "I've kept it hidden." She kept staring upward, her jaw tense. "Humans make metal traps. They hide them under dirt. They use them on creatures like me." He turned toward her gently. "This isn't a trap. I wouldn't do that to you." She looked at him for a long moment. Her eyes softened just a little. "I am trying to believe you. That's enough," he said quietly. "You're here. That means something." Her tail moved slowly, not in fear but in thought. She finally nodded and continued walking beside him. As they moved deeper into the tunnel, he noticed how her posture changed. At first she was tense and ready to spring away, but now her steps were slower, more curious. She touched the metal walls lightly with her claws, as if trying to understand this strange world underneath the human station. "You live in caves made of metal," she murmured. He smiled softly. "Not all humans do. Still strange," she said, sniffing the air. "It smells like old wires, dust, and you." He laughed quietly. "Is that good or bad?" She tilted her head. "Not bad." Her voice was softer now, less guarded. The tunnel seemed to wrap them in a fragile bubble of calm and escape from the world above that was hunting her. At the next intersection, he stopped and pointed to the right. "This leads to a lower maintenance room. No guards go there. You can rest for a bit." She didn't move. Instead, she stepped closer, her eyes searching his face in the dim light. "Why do you try so hard to protect me?" He hesitated, searching for the right words. "Because you're not the monster they think you are." Her gaze flickered. "I have done wild things. I have frightened your guards. You were surviving," he said. "You were alone, hurt. Anyone would lash out in fear." Her ears dipped slightly. "You see what others do not," he shrugged. "Maybe they never tried to see." She stared at him for several seconds longer. Then she asked something unexpected. "In your stories, do humans choose creatures like me?" He blinked. "Choose how?" She shifted her weight, uneasy. "Choose to stay. Choose to protect. Choose to walk together." His chest warmed. "Sometimes. The good ones do." She lowered her eyes. Then maybe you are one of the good ones. Before he could reply, a sharp clang echoed down the tunnel. She jumped in front of him instantly, body low, claws out, tail flared. He grabbed her arm gently. "It's okay," he whispered. "It's just the pressure pipes. They shift sometimes." She didn't relax yet. Her heart raced fast enough for him to hear it. It hit him then, how deeply fear lived inside her bones. Fear from past cages, past hunts, past betrayals. This tunnel felt too much like confinement, and yet she trusted him enough to walk inside. He softened his voice. "I won't let anything happen to you." Slowly she lowered her claws. "Your voice makes the fear smaller," he swallowed. "I'm glad." They continued walking until they reached a small maintenance room. Wires hung along the walls, and old equipment lay stacked in corners. It wasn't pretty, but it was hidden and warm. She stepped inside carefully, sniffing the air, then crouched near a vent where warm air flowed out. Her body relaxed slightly. "You rest," he said. "I'll check the tunnels to make sure no one followed." Her head snapped up instantly. "No, you stay." He blinked. "Why?" She stood and walked toward him slowly. "Because if humans find you down here, they take you away. They question you. They hurt you to find me." He hadn't thought of that. She stopped inches from him, her eyes fierce and protective. "I choose you," she said again, softly but firmly. "If danger comes, we face it together." He felt a tightness in his chest, something heavy and warm. "All right," he said. "We stay together." Her shoulders relaxed. She sat back down near the warm vent, curling her tail around her legs. After a moment, she looked at him again. "You are different from other humans," she whispered. "You do not look at me with fear. I look at you with understanding," he replied. She tilted her head. "Understanding?" "Yes," he said softly. "You're strong, brave. You survived what most couldn't. I respect that." Her breath caught. She stared at him for a long moment, unsure how to handle such words. Then she looked away shyly, something she hadn't done before. "You say soft things," she whispered. "They make my chest feel warm and strange." He smiled gently. "That's not a bad thing." She hesitated, then lifted her hand toward him, slowly, uncertainly, as if asking permission. He stepped closer, letting her touch his arm lightly. Her claws didn't dig in. They rested softly, almost delicately. "You make the wild inside me quieter," she said. "And you make my world a lot bigger," he replied. For a moment, neither spoke. Then her ears shot upward. Her expression hardened. "They are coming," she whispered. His heart jerked. "Who?" "Humans," she said, voice low and sharp. "3 of them. Moving fast. They have weapons." "How close?" She closed her eyes and listened. "Near the surface hatch. They smell me. They smell you." He stepped in front of her instinctively. "We'll go deeper." "No," she said. "Deeper tunnels trap us." "Only one path left," he swallowed. "Which one?" She stepped forward with fierce resolve. "Upward." "Upward? Toward the guards?" "No," she said. "Toward the roof, toward the sky." He stared at her. "You mean escape the station entirely?" She nodded once. "Together." He felt fear and hope crash into each other inside him. "Then lead me," he whispered. She took his hand, her claws folding gently so they wouldn't hurt him. And for the first time, she pulled him forward. Together, the tunnel sloped sharply upward, and the air grew warmer with each step. The human followed closely behind her, his heartbeat echoing in his ears. She moved silently, stopping every few seconds to listen for danger. Her tail flicked with tension. Her body stayed ready to fight or flee for both of them. The hum of distant machinery vibrated through the walls. Voices echoed faintly above, muffled, urgent, too close. "They know you're gone," he whispered. She didn't turn around. "They know you are gone too." He swallowed. "Do you regret coming with me?" Her steps slowed. She looked back at him, golden eyes soft but steady. No, I regret nothing that brings me closer to you. Warmth spread through his chest, grounding him. He nodded, and they continued upward until they reached a vertical service shaft. At the top of it was a metal grate leading directly onto the roof of the station. She leaped upward, climbing the pipe with ease. She waited near the top, her hand stretched downward for him. He grabbed it, and with surprising gentleness, she pulled him up until he reached the grate beside her. Her ears twitched sharply. We must move now. He pushed the grate aside. Fresh evening air rushed in, cool and alive. The sky stretched wide above them, and the forest glowed faintly under the fading light. They climbed onto the roof. Below, guards moved in groups of 3, sweeping the ground with lights and scanners. A drone hovered not far away, humming softly as it searched. Her eyes tightened. They hunt like predators who do not understand their prey. He crouched beside her. We can head toward the west trees. There's a clearing. No, she said firmly. Too many eyes, too much metal. Then where? He asked. She pointed toward the highest part of the roof, where a tall communication tower rose above everything else. A single red light blinked at its peak. Up there, she said. If we reach that height, we can leap to the outer trees. He stared at the distance. It was far, dangerous. And if they slipped, you can make that jump? He asked. She nodded. With you. I can. Before he could protest, she wrapped an arm around his waist and lifted him slightly. Her strength startled him smooth, controlled, effortless. You trust me? She asked quietly. Yes, he whispered. Always. They moved quickly across the roof, keeping low to avoid the searchlights. She guided him with careful hands, her senses alert to every sound. A guard's voice echoed below them. Tracks found near the north trees. She's close. He felt her tense. He placed a hand on her arm. We'll make it, he said. Her eyes softened at his touch. They reached the communication tower. The metal frame groaned in the wind, but she climbed it like it was nothing more than a tree branch. She carried him with one arm, her claws gripping steel with silent precision. At the top, the wind was strong. The forest below looked far away, separated by a long gap of open air. He swallowed. That's a big jump. She crouched beside him. I will not let you fall. He met her eyes. I know. Below them, a guard shouted. A drone turned, scanning upward. A bright light swung toward the tower. She reacted instantly, pulling him close against her chest, her body shielding him from the glare. It sees us, he whispered. It is too slow, she replied. She lifted him effortlessly, positioning him securely against her. Her heart beat fast, but steady strong enough for him to feel its rhythm through her. Hold tight, she said softly. He wrapped his arms around her neck, trusting her completely. She inhaled deeply, muscles coiling with power. Then she jumped. For a heartbeat, they were suspended in open sky. The wind roared past, the world below blurred. He tightened his hold as they soared across the gap, flying, falling, rising all at once. She landed on a thick tree branch with perfect balance, her claws digging in to steady them. The impact shook leaves loose, sending them drifting like sparks in the air. He let out a shaky breath. You really did it, she smiled faintly. We did it. Voices shouted behind them, distant now. Searchlights swept the roof, too late to catch what had already escaped into the forest. She carried him deeper into the trees, moving with the silent grace of a creature born to run through wild shadows. Branch to branch, root to root, until the station sounds faded into nothing. Finally, she set him down near a glowing pool of water hidden between ancient roots. Fireflies drifted above the surface like tiny stars. This is my place, she said, where I hid, where I healed, where I waited. He looked around with awe. It's beautiful. She stepped closer, ears lowering slightly, an expression he had learned meant vulnerability. I never let anyone into my world, she whispered. Not until you. He reached out gently, placing his hand over hers. "And you'll never be alone again." Her breath trembled. "You choose me, even when your people hunt. Even when danger comes." "Why?" He smiled softly. "Because I see who you really are." She leaned closer, forehead touching his. Her voice was barely a breath. "Then I choose you." In all worlds, the forest was silent, holding their moment. Two beings from different lives, standing together without fear. He squeezed her hand. "What happens now?" She looked toward the deeper forest, where stars shone through the trees. "Now," she said, "we make a path of our own." And side by side they walked into the wild, not as a human and a feral Vulpine woman, but as two souls who chose each other when no one else dared.